Welcome to another video, yet again, hopefully a short one this time. Just a quick overview of the Weimar Germany from 1918 to 1923, what is a very tumultuous, back and forth, politically unstable time period. So what have we got? Well, starting off, a whole heap of issues come in. The period itself starts because Germany almost accidentally becomes a democratic republic. If you remember, the only way the Allies would sign a treaty with Germany was if it was to become a democratic republic. And so, Mr. Ebert jumped on a balcony and declared the republic had happened. And the very first thing that they do is sign the Treaty of Versailles. Now, I cannot emphasize enough just how much everyone hated the Treaty of Versailles. It is a punitive treaty, as in it's meant to punish. The French wanted to bleed them dry till there was no way they could rise up again. So straight away, everyone thinks Democratic Republic of Weimar Germany and thinks, oh, they're the ones that signed that hated Treaty of Versailles. So that's number one political issue. A whole lot of people on the left, a whole lot of people on the right, and a whole lot of people in the middle all hate the Treaty of Versailles and those people that signed it. Not a good start. Next, you've got the new Constitution. Remember the Constitution, which has Article 48 in it. It's a very progressive Constitution. So you've got votes for women. You've got a whole lot of really progressive ideas in there, especially for the time. But at the same time, you actually have some things like Article 48, which really make it a weak constitution. Article 48 basically says, in a time of emergency, it's okay for the Chancellor to basically veto the Parliament. And this happens eventually down the line. Bruning does it during the Great Depression, and Hitler uses that precedent to do it to basically, with the stroke of a pen, get rid of Weimar Germany. So the constitution is not right, not great. You've also got a couple of left and right wing uprisings. The Spartacists I already talked about in the other video. The Cat Putsch I also talked about. The Beer Hall Putsch is in a Bavarian beer hall. That's Hitler. We've talked about that, and it's not successful. But really, they are simply emphasising the fact that there is just general political instability. You remember I talked about proportional representation, which is where votes are given in the Reichstag, the parliament, based on proportion of voting, which means no one ever has enough seats to govern, which means government's made up of a whole lot of coalitions, and whenever people disagree with the other members of the coalition, they withdraw and we have to have elections again and again. On top of these political issues, we also have a whole lot of economic issues. The impact of the Treaty of Versailles is really felt quite hard. It's a lot of money, and they just struggle to pay it after fighting a war for 4 years. The occupation of the Ruhr, basically what happens there is France gets sick of them not paying enough of their reparations, so they actually invade Germany and take over the Ruhr, which is the really strong industrial area. And they basically say, now German people, go and work, and whatever money you make, we'll take. Straight away, German workers have something that's called passive resistance. Now, passive resistance is basically them saying, we're not working. Now, this is a little bit problematic for them because if you don't work, you don't earn any money and you can't feed your family. And so what they do is they get this idea of, let's get a big printing machine and let's print money to help pay these workers that aren't working. And then we have hyperinflation of 1923 that we've talked about. Huge economic issues. And finally, social issues. You have fighting in the streets. Every time there's an election, there's thugs for each political party going to areas that are heavily left-leaning or right-leaning and basically trying to beat up anyone that tries to vote. You have a whole lot of weapons that are left over from World War One, and you've got the Freikorps, who are the paramilitary groups, the volunteer groups. They're suppressing left-wing revolutions with the government allowing them to, And really, it's just this huge period where every time you turn around and look, something else is happening. Oh, there's another uprising today. Oh, okay, a couple of hundred people were killed in an uprising. Oh, the Freikorps went and brutally suppressed a meeting of Spartacists. Oh, look at that, etc., etc., etc. So it really is a time of massive upheaval. Now let's have a look at hopefully a helpful little illustration on the next slide to look at some of the issues. Here's a helpful little survey. Sorry this video hasn't been as short as it could have been. I'll finish very quickly. So basically, very helpfully, this is talking about the three different issues: political, social, and economic, and just showing how each of these come out. All right. Socially, unemployment's a big thing. Okay, you've got a whole lot of men who have been in the army, have been employed, some of them for 4 whole years, and they come back and there's no work for them. So what do? You agitate. You agitate politically, especially if you hate the Treaty of Versailles. What happens if you don't have any money because you're unemployed? Well, even if you are employed, hyperinflation becomes a big problem. You hate the French? Well, guess what? They're going to occupy the Ruhr and give you someone to hate even more. Politically speaking, you want to kind of create a whole lot of political instability. Guess what? You can either rise up against them or use the constitution that is a little bit weak and not as strong as the established democratic republics of the world: America, England, France, etc. So, all up, this time period, incredibly tumultuous, if that's a word. Tumultuous is. Use that one. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Hopefully it helps you get a handle of 1919 to 1923.